So in my Discord, we were ranking a bunch of stuff like artworks, card effects, stuff like that. And I thought this would make a great video idea where I rank like a bunch of things, like for example, sets, cards, stuff like that. So this is the absolute non-negotiable 100% official tier list for the first 11 Yu-Gi-Oh sets. This encompasses everything from duel monsters, and I'm gonna be ranking them based on how iconic the cards are in there, as well as card effects in terms of like GOAT format, because that's the most prominent format for that era. And I'll add a little bit of points for like set name, cover art, stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so the first set we're going to start off with is obviously Legend of Blue Eyes. So in terms of playability, there's really not a lot here for GOAT format. There's definitely a lot for like later sets, like for example Dark Hole Raigeki, Monster Reborn. Unfortunately, those are banned for GOAT, but Pot of Greed and Swords of Revealing Light are available. So in terms of playability, as you can see, like magic cards are the only place where you can actually slot them in a deck. Pretty much everything else is a vanilla type monster that is pretty much garbage. But what this set does have is probably the most stacked holographic set list in terms of anime appearances. I don't recall another set having more cards that appeared in the anime than LOB and maybe Metal Raiders. So for this one, we have obviously the Exodia set. We have LOB first edition Blue Eyes, Dark Magician, and Red Eyes, which are the rarest copies for their respective cards. We have Gaia the Fierce Knight, which is often forgotten. Monster Reborn for the ultra rare. And then we have a pretty stacked super set, in my opinion. We have Mystical Elf, appeared in the anime, Celtic Guardian in the anime, Curse of Dragon in the anime. We have Man-Eater Bug also in the anime. I believe Trap Hole was as well. I mean, pretty much every single card in this set appeared in the anime, and in my opinion, I think that this holographic set list is pretty stacked. I think the rares and the commons are pretty lackluster. So in my opinion, this is definitely an S tier though, because in terms of collectability, you pretty much usually only collect the holos, and for this set, the holos are the most stacked compared to anything else that we have in the game. In my opinion, I think this is an S tier set. I think most people would agree as well. Even the name, like Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon, like how badass is that? And then you have the blue eyes right in the background. Like it's like literally the top tier. It's the first set, and I guess the only thing that I would say like holds this set back a little bit is the fact that there's just so many printings in Unlimited and other languages. So I'm not really a big fan of that. It loses a little bit of that exclusivity, but you can't really expect anything less for the first set of Yu-Gi-Oh, right? So I still put it in S tier. I would probably bring other sets down for that aspect, like of the so many reprints, since they aren't like the first set of all time. So that's Legend of Blue Eyes. Let's move on to Metal Raiders, the second set in Yu-Gi-Oh. Now this set has Change of Heart, Mirror Force, Solemn Judgment, and Heavy Storm. In my opinion, I think that it has probably some of the most broken cards in the game. In terms of GOAT format, this set introduces Sangan and Magician of Faith, probably the biggest staples in the game. It has the occasional Mask of Darkness, but in terms of commons, it doesn't have too many that are like so crazy, but it does have Thunder Dragon, which is arguably probably the most busted common in all of like the OG formats. I can't really recall anything that is more effective than that. I mean, it fights against Delinquent Duel, it mills your deck for 2 cards. Like, it's super ridiculous. It's like a free Pot of Greed. But this set is definitely top heavy with its holographics. We have things like Barrel Dragon, Time Wizard. We have the iconic Beaskull Dragon. We have the amazing artwork of Summon Skull in here. We have Gate Guardian, Thousand Dragon, which is one of my favorite secrets. And in super rare, we have Karibo. We have the 3 pieces of Gate Guardian. We have Harpy Lady Sisters. We have the incredible artwork of Tribute to the Doomed. We have Catapult Turtle, which is also in the show. I mean, this set is pretty stacked in terms of holographics, but the thing that I really like the most about this is the name, Metal Raiders. Like, how sick is that, man? Like, man, give me a break. This set is so cool. The name is so badass, and the cover art is really sick too. It has Beaskull on it. In my opinion, it's definitely an S tier set. I don't really think that there's a lot of sets that can compete with it other than Legend of Blue Eyes. So that's Metal Raiders. Now let's move on to Magic Ruler or Spell Ruler. So what I really like about this set is just how busted it is. This set has some some of the most ridiculous cards: Painful Choice, Confiscation, Delinquent Duel, Forceful Sentry. Like, how crazy is that? But it doesn't stop there. We have Snatch Steal, we have Cyberjar, we have Giant Trunade, Mystical Space Typhoon. In terms of playable staples, I think this set and like some other upcoming sets later on are probably the most playable sets. The problem with this one is that it's pretty toon dominant, and if you're not a toon fan, I mean, I don't know how much value you're gonna get out of this. Me personally, I don't really like toons. I think that they don't really follow suit with like the whole gothic style of Yu-Gi-Oh artwork, but I know a lot of people love them. I think in terms of playability, like obviously we have Acts of Despair, we have like the cards that I just mentioned, which are absolutely broken. We have Megamorph. I mean, we have really playable cards, but I would say, like, for example, on the super rares, it definitely falls behind compared to things like Meta Raiders and LOB. For super rares, we have Black Pendant, doesn't matter. Mahavilo, okay, it was playable a little bit, but it doesn't really matter that much. Not in terms of collectability, at least. Invader of the Throne, Confiscation, like, is OP, but again, it's not collectible. Painful Choice, Black Illusion Ritual, maybe for like Relinquished, I guess, if you're a fan of Pegasus. Toon World, okay. Banisher of Light, not really that important. Messenger of Peace, not really that important. Like, you can see the set list for super rares is definitely not as strong as LOB and MRD. So I would say it's definitely an A tier set. Maybe I would probably even put it at B tier if the ultra rares weren't so ridiculously overpowered. Like, this set is so stacked. In terms of secret rare, you're getting a secret rare Blue Eyes Toon, which is pretty up there in my opinion. That's what puts it at A tier and not B tier. However, the other secret rare, Serpent Night Dragon, is definitely not as strong as the other end of the secret rares, like for example Thousand Dragon or Gaia the Dragon Champion. So in my opinion, I think it's an A tier set, and it's definitely up there, like, because it's just how OP it was. I don't think it has the same level of hit as Meta Raiders and LOB. And I also am not a fan of the name change. I really liked Magic Ruler. I think Spell Ruler is a little bit less badass. Yeah, I mean, I understand why they did it, but I'm not really that big of a fan, so I'll probably put it at A to try and be objective. Next up, we have Pharaoh's Servant. Probably a lot of people, when they think of Pharaoh's Servant, they think of Jinzo. In my opinion, I think that there's a lot more to this set than just Jinzo, but I understand why, like, you know, everybody just thinks of that card. Some really playable cards, we have Jinzo, which obviously negates all the traps. The other secret rare in this set is Imperial Order, which negates all spell cards. We have Ceasefire, Call of the Haunted, and Premature Burial. I'd say those are the strongest 5 cards in this set in terms of like playability. And Imperial Order was so busted that it's gotten errated like at least 3 times. Premature Burial and Call of the Haunted are new ways to revive monsters since Monster Reborn is banned. So I really like that. They do have a cost, obviously. One's a trap card and the other one needs 800 life points. But I think that they were really good ways to innovate. Like, you know, it's not just play a card and get a monster back. You have to do something as a cost. In terms of commons, like, the most busted card in here is definitely Cold Wave. I mean, I don't really think anything comes close, but there is DNA Surgery, which also made an appearance in the anime. I definitely think that the super rares and the ultra rares are where this set is carried, but in terms of rares, there is definitely Prohibition, which is an important card. There's Nobleman of Extermination, which is also an important card in my opinion. There's Magic Drain as well as a rare, and then most importantly, there's Gravity Bind. That's pretty much it in terms of the rares though. Now, in terms of ultra rares, this set is pretty good in my opinion. I don't think it's as good as things like LOB or MRD, but we do have, like I said, Premature Burial, Ceasefire, which are really important cards in terms of playability. In terms of TV show wise, we have Buster Blader, which is, in my opinion, the most underrated ultra rare in all of original Duel Monsters. We have Thousand Eyes Restrict, which I'm not a big fan of, but obviously we have GOAT format, which it's probably like what it's based on, right? Like, the GOAT format is based on this card's playability. We have Goblin Attack Force, which is, I mean, in my opinion, it's pretty prominent in warrior decks. Fiend Mega Cyber, Beast of Talwar are okay. Like, I would say, like, they're, you know, B tier cards, but I would definitely put Buster Blader and Thousand Eyes as A tier. I would put Legendary Fisherman as A tier if the artwork wasn't neutered to hell, man. Like, how can they butcher the artwork like that, man? Like, it's so unacceptable. I think Legendary Fisherman got botched, and in my opinion, it's like a C tier card because of the artwork censorship. That's pretty much it for the ultra rares. For the super rares though, I would say that there's like 2 cards that really stand out to me, which is number 1, Nobleman of Crossout, which is like the magic card staple of GOAT format. Like, I don't think a single person has a deck in GOAT format that doesn't run this card, at least in the side deck. deck. And then in terms of anime popularity, there's the iconic magical hats. This card is absolute garbage in the game, but it looks so cool in my opinion, and I'm a big fan of the artwork. It's hard to grade. In my opinion, I think Pharaoh's Servant is definitely an A tier set, and I would put it ahead of Magic Ruler in my opinion. Again, the reason I don't put it at S tier with Meta Raiders and things like Legend of Blue Eyes is it just doesn't have as much gas as those other two, and also I don't think that the external artwork is as nice as something like Meta Raiders as well as Legend of Blue Eyes. Next up, we have Labyrinth of Nightmare, which is in my opinion the most underrated set when it comes to anime artwork in terms of anime nostalgia. I think this set is so stacked in terms of Battle City cards. The unfortunate thing is that it's like mostly villain cards, but I still think that that's so cool. Anyway, let's get into like the most sought after cards here. We have Torrential Tribute, which is like really busted. We have Gemini Elf. We have United We Stand. Dark Necrofear, which is probably one of the top 10 artworks of all time. We have Magic Cylinder, which is a Dark Magician Girl card. And then we have Cards of Safe Return, which is an anime card as well. Now, in terms of commons, I think that this set is kind of weak because there's really not a lot here that is quite memorable. In terms of playability, I'll probably say like Amazoness Archer, which is like an burn deck card. But otherwise, I don't really see anything that is too crazy. In terms of rares, I think that this set is also kind of weak in that aspect. I mean, some notable ones are maybe like Jam Breeding Machine, since it's like an anime card, I guess. We have the Spirit Messages, which is pretty prominent in my opinion. It's pretty cool, but you know, it's not as heavy hitting as things like Sangan or Magician of Faith. Definitely not. However, one really cool card that's short printed, it's not really a it's a common, but also not. The card that I'm talking about is Zombira the Dark, which is taking a lot of relevance today. I mean, this card is very popular in the GOAT format right now. It goes against warriors and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of it. I use it in my own deck, and that's kind of like the only one that really stands out in terms of like short prints. There is like Jam Defender, which is also like, you know, a jam card. Again, in my opinion, it's not like Sangan, it's not Magician of Faith, and it's definitely not Pot of Greed. Now, when we get to the holos though, now you'll see why I think that this set is kind of underrated for what it is. Firstly, we have Defusion, which is an anime card. We have Bazoo the Soul Eater, as well as Kaiku, which are absolute GOAT format staples. Everybody plays these cards. Incredibly fun cards to play, and in my opinion, I think Kaiku is like one of the most underrated cards in the game. We also have Jar of Greed, which is really important for chaos decks. We have Fire Princess, which is a great artwork. It's a waifu card. And then we have Mask of a Curse and Mask of Dispel, which are anime important cards. And then obviously we have Revival Jam, which is an incredible artwork in my opinion. It's super gothic. It's very Yu-Gi-Oh-esque. Now for ultra rare, check this list out. We have the Masked Beast, we have Mask of Restrict, Torrential Tribute, Card of Safe Return, United We Stand, Mage Power, Dark Necrofear, The Last Warrior from Another Planet, Royal Command, and Destiny Board. Pretty much every single card in this 10 card ultra rare set list is either playable or used in the anime, and it was used like well. It's not like some random ass card that you saw in the background. I mean, this set is really important in my opinion, and it's kind of slept on. It has a great name, Labyrinth of Nightmare. The only thing I don't like is that the cover art is freaking Mask of Restrict. Why would you do that? We have an incredible Dark Necrofear artwork that you can put on the cover. Could you imagine if that was the cover for Labyrinth of Nightmare? It would be unbelievable, man. So yeah, I mean, like, this set is, in my opinion, super underrated. Another thing that in my opinion does this set really well is that it never actually got a lot of reprints. It's not like a legendary collection set. There's not a lot of them out there, and the only real later on reprint that we got for this set is the one that was in the Tactical Evolution Special Edition. Otherwise, this set was pretty much discontinued in 2004, 2005. So in my opinion, I think that a lot of people are sleeping on this one, and I'll probably put it at the lower end, A tier, maybe even B tier. Since we're going official list, we're gonna go with the B tier here. Maybe I'll bump it up as we move on to the other sets. Speaking of other sets, now we get to Legacy of Darkness. Now this set has pretty much zero anime cards other than like maybe Injection Fairy Lily, but this is one of the most playable sets of all time. So let's take a look at the set list real quick. We start off with the secret rares. We obviously have Yatagarasu. Yatagarasu is one of the most important cards in the game. It's one of those cards where in a certain combo called the Outer Lock pretty much wins you the game. Looking at the effect, it doesn't seem like that crazy, but if you were around the at the time, you would know just what the Yarlock was. This card is really nice looking in my opinion. The fact that it's completely full secret rare is like a meh to me. I'm okay with it, but I'm also not okay with it. In my opinion, I think they should have definitely been a little bit more selective with the secret rare foiling. The other secret rare is Injection Fairy Lily, very important staple in burn decks in today's format for GOAT, but also it made an anime appearance in not only the TV show but also the film. For the commons, there's not really that much that's like playable or iconic. I mean, this set has pretty much no iconic cards in terms of anime, but in terms of like playability, maybe Emergency Provisions. That's like as far as I can find in terms of the commons list. In terms of the rares list, we have obviously Blast with Chain, we have Royal Oppression, Bottomless Trap Hole, and then we have the Warrior Returning Alive. I think all of these cards are extremely prominent to the meta game and very important in terms of like game history. The holo list, in my opinion, is definitely where it's at. Obviously, I mentioned the 2 secret rares earlier, but we also have Dark Balter the Terrible, we have Ryu Senshi, Exiled Force, Reinforcement of the Army, which is like a nobleman of Crossout in terms of like how important it is to any meta, any format. We have Spear Dragon, which is also playable as well. Fiend Skull Dragon, also playable. I mean, the only one that's not really playable is Twin-Headed Dragon and Luster Dragon. We have Azura Priest, very important card. Drop Off is meh, but sometimes it does see play. We have Dark Ruler Hades, Freed is okay. Marauding Captain, definitely playable. Tyrant Dragon, sometimes playable. Air Knight Parshath is definitely a staple. Yamada Dragon's okay. Hinokagu is okay. Creature Swap is very important. And Last Turn is very notorious. Again, it's like another Yara Lock type of card that can really win you the game. Very important card. This set is very spirit card heavy. Because of this, like I said, there's not a lot of anime importance. In my opinion, in terms of collectability, I would definitely put it in like probably C tier. In my opinion, it's definitely not up there with Labyrinth of Nightmare in terms of collectability at least. I think the Last Turn also, I think they could have definitely chose a better card for the background. Again, I am always a big fan of putting the dragons up there. So Tyrant Dragon, Yamada Dragon maybe. But they put a trap card here. Not a fan of that. This set also has Asian English becoming a little bit more important because now they're getting the reverse foils. Yeah, I think it's like definitely a C tier set, like maybe the lowest of the B tier. That's pretty much where I'll put it. Personally, I'll put it at C. Next, we have Fon Guardian though. In terms of just GOAT format, okay, I don't think there's a set that has more playable commons than this. We have the absolutely important Trap Dust Shoot and Metamorph coming in this set as regular commons, not short prints, not super short prints, literally commons, man. And these are like 3 of every single deck, man. Like this right there is already super important, but not only that, we have Gravekeeper's Spy. We have all the Gravekeepers, which is such a cool archetype in my opinion. We have obviously Gravekeeper's Assailant, we have the Spear Soldier, which are the most important ones, as well as Spy, obviously. Like this set is so stacked in terms of the commons. We have Royal Tribute, like I said. We have Terraforming. What more can I say? Okay, like I just listed like literally 10 cards here. Literally half of your deck is probably these cards. However, the holos are not really that important. And again, like the whole set has pretty much 0 anime prominence. Okay, they're not important at all. By this point, they pretty much just focused on the game in terms of set releases. For this one though, we do have 2 really nice cards in the secret rares. We have Ring of Destruction and a Lava Golem. Obviously, Ring of Destruction is in every single deck. I don't think there's a single deck that doesn't run Ring. You have it in Burn, we have it in Chaos, pretty much everything. Lava Golem is obviously a burn card. In terms of like short prints, there's really not a lot that's important. In terms of rares, I mean, Pyramid Turtle, maybe Tiger King Wang Hu, definitely like playable cards. It's definitely not like anime cards. But in terms of super rares, in terms of playability, obviously we have Book of Life, super OP card in my opinion. We have Necro Valley again, which is like a card that's played like even up to today, maybe not today, but like, you know, very recent formats. We have Barrel Behind the Door. This is an okay card, like a C tier card. We have Don Zalug, very nice card for GOAT format. And then the ultra rares are kind of lackluster Luster, to be honest with you. Nightmare Wheel maybe, but yeah, the rest are like okay. They're definitely incredible artworks, that's for sure. They have that, you know, Egyptian Gothic look, but they don't have any gameplay prominence nor any like anime prominence. So I would say like in terms of collectability, like this is a D tier set, believe it or not, because you know we're gonna be collecting the holos. Like okay, the commons are nice and all, but I don't think a lot of people are really collecting the commons. So collectability wise, from a collector's perspective, I'll probably put this set at D tier. I really not a fan of this set in terms of collectability. It's just really hard to ignore. Like I would put it at F, but it has just too many good cards in terms of playability. Next we have my favorite set, Magician's Force. This set has something that I really like, which is basically encompassing an archetype in the set name. So like Gladiator's Assault, you know, Phantom Darkness, Light of Destruction. I'm a big fan of stuff like this, and obviously Magician's Force is just a badass name, okay? It's sick name. Like whoever came up with this, absolutely badass. Now this set has the best secret rare in the game in my opinion. This is Dark Magician Girl, the most collectible card by far. I mean, other than Blue Eyes, I don't really think anybody else can debate that Dark Magician Girl is the most collectible card. So this set debuts this card. It's in secret rare, and on top of that, the set is short printed. It has Dark Paladin in air art, and it also has the corrected artwork in it. Let's get to the common set list, okay? Let's just go to the comments real quick. Old Vindictive Magician. We have things like Wave Motion Cannon, stuff like that. I think these are all like meta relevant cards, but you're not gonna again see any anime prominent cards that are collectible in this set. In terms of other playable cards, like in the rares and the commons, there's really not too much. You know, maybe Royal Magical Library, My Body as a Shield, Exhausting Spell, but not a lot of cards are noteworthy in terms of like collectability for anime sake, as well as like iconicness. There's also Death Koala as a rare, which is really important when it comes to burn decks. But again, my favorite part of this set is definitely the holos. So for the secret rares, obviously we have the Dark Magician Girl. Now for the other one, we have Diffusion Wave Motion, which is kind of garbage. I definitely wouldn't hold my head up high owning that card, but it is anime important. I mean, it was used in a very iconic duel by Yugi versus Kaiba. In terms of the super rares, we have the XYZ parts. We have X Head Cannon, Y Dragon Head, Z Metal Tank. We have Spell Shield Type A, which is kind of important in terms of prominence and collectability. We have Skilled White and Skilled Dark, which are also, I believe they were used in the anime. I'm pretty sure that they were used. I might be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure they were used in the anime. Skilled Dark is definitely used in the game though. We have Spell Canceller, which is like the Jinzo of spell cards. Pretty much garbage as well though. Paladin of White Dragon. This card is not really usable, but it is anime important, and I have to say this is a really good looking card, man. It's a very nice looking card. In terms of the other ultra rares, we have other XYZ parts. We have XY Dragon Cannon and then XYZ Dragon Cannon. The reason these were ultra rares in this set and not supers is because they were ultis in the original release. So that's why they're like that. We have Luster Dragon, it's meh. We have Amazoness Swordswoman, meh. Chaos Command Magician is a cool artwork, but not really that important. What's really important here though is Breaker the Magical Warrior, which is not only an anime card, it is again one of those staple monsters. Like again, just like Sangan, I can't imagine a deck without Breaker. This card is super important. A 1900 V-Stick as well as a free pop on the back row. And then last but not least, we have Dark Paladin, which is, like I said earlier, the most badass artwork out of any magician card I've ever seen, man. This card is sick. Like it's so cool. And again, this had a misprint inside with like an incredible artwork appearing as an ultra rare, and then a corrected artwork that came out later by Konami. And if you want to know more about that, you can check out the video that I'm putting up here. So overall, I'll definitely rate this set in S tier. However, it's definitely being carried by the cover art, by the cover name, by Dark Magician Girl, Dark Paladin, and Breaker. The fact that this is super short printed, and the fact that this set has no other language printings other than Korean and Asian English, like it doesn't have like European, it doesn't have anything like that, in my opinion, definitely carries it up a couple of pedigrees when it comes to rarity and collectability, but it doesn't have as much gas as Meta Raiders and LOB, so I'll probably put it right behind those two. I mean, this set without a question is definitely an S tier set. It's just so badass. I mean, Magician's Force, dude, like how badass is that name, man? It's so cool. But anyway, that's Magician's Force, my favorite set. Let's move on to Dark Crisis. So for Dark Crisis, I would definitely say we're gonna go right back to like that B tier category. I'm gonna tell you guys right now. I think that this set is very, very nice in terms of playability. There's a lot of really important cards. We have DD Warrior Lady, again, a staple just like Breaker. It's pretty much like the other side of Breaker. Like Breaker pops a back row and then DD Warrior Lady pops a front row. We also have Vampire Lord, which is kind of important in zombie decks. And then the most important card, in my opinion, is not even a holographic. It's Skill Drain. It's a rare in here, and this is definitely the most important playable card. I don't think anything else really comes close. Skill Drain is still important today. It's still expensive even today. That's how you know. In terms of commons, it has my favorite common of all time, which is Gyaka Girei Panda. This is, I'm a Burn player, man. Like, roast me all you want in the comments, but I love this card. I hope they give us a Starlight Rare one day, because I would definitely own a playset. This card is so disgusting. Another really important card for my deck is Ojama Trio, so I definitely have a soft spot for that. We have things like Final Countdown, Sakuretsu Armor, which are really important for playability. In terms of rares, there's really not a lot here except for Skill Drain, and then in terms of GOAT format, there's Tsukiyomi, which is one of the coolest tech cards in the game. Just read the effect, and if you know how the game works, you would see like this card has so many uses. In my opinion, you can pull off some really clean combos with Tsukiyomi. I'm a big fan of this card. But in terms of holos, like I said, we have Vampire Lord for the first secret, and then Judgment of Anubis, which is garbage, for the second secret rare. It's probably just as bad as something like Diffusion Wave Motion. In terms of like super rares, the only really important card here that in my opinion is very collectible is Dark Flare Knight, and then maybe Mirage Knight, but I would definitely say Dark Flare Knight is one of the coolest cards in here, one of the best artworks ever. Super badass. Dark Magician, Flame Swordsman fused into one. It's just sick. It's a lot of people's favorite card, actually. I'm a big fan of it. I just wish it was an ultra rare, not a super rare. I definitely think that they held it back when they put it as a super rare. We have Berserk Dragon, DD Warrior Lady, like I mentioned earlier. Terror King Archfiend Jaxri, very important in terms of the Archfiend decks. There is the Guardian archetype, which obviously appeared in the anime with, I think one of Darts' guys. I don't remember. The guy that has Guardian Iatos. He beat Yugi. But there's Guardian Seal, Guardian Grawl, as well as all the cards for them. Another really important anime card here is Exodia Necros. I think this card is underrated. It's an incredible artwork. I don't know how it can be like 500 bucks in PSA 10, but it is. I think it's really nice. This set quality is also actually fantastic. Like, there's no centering issues. Another really sick artwork that I definitely have to shout out though is Skull Archfiend of Lightning. Look that card up, man. That card is sick. It's definitely useless and crap, but it is sick. It looks amazing, and in my opinion, very collectible. This set overall, because of like the amazing artwork, like if you look at the box, like it has Exodia Necros in the back. Dark Crisis is an okay name. This set has a lot of reprints. It's a legendary collection set, so I'll probably put it at B tier. I'll put it right up there with like Labyrinth of Nightmare. There's a few anime cards, there's a lot of playable cards, but overall I definitely don't think it has as much gas to be an A tier set. Next we have Invasion of Chaos, and in my opinion this is going to be very controversial for a lot of people, but I actually don't think that this set is that insane. Okay, I think it's definitely very top heavy. I mean, let's go through a set list before we even like start bashing this. So first of all, in terms of commons and rares, I mean, I'm looking at the set list right now, and I mean, Gigantus is pretty nice. Chaos Sorcerer was like, what in the world were they thinking when they made this card a common, bro? Like, there is so many slots in the ultra rares that they could have put this in. I don't know what was going on in their brain when they were thinking this, but this is a common here. In terms of other cards, like maybe DNA Transplant, Smash and Ground is pretty nice. Ryukoki is also nice, but otherwise I think it's like okay. Like, it's nothing like insane. In terms of rares, again, not a lot going on for this set. Berserk Gorilla, maybe. I think it's kind of lackluster. Like, honestly, I don't see a lot of playable cards, and I don't see a lot of anime cards either. Now, the reason I say this set is top heavy is because of a couple of cards. Okay, we have obviously the secret rare Chaos Emperor Dragon. In my opinion, it's an overrated card. I don't really like the artwork, but I understand why people do. It is an anime important card as well. It does appear in the anime. It's not that crazy, but it does have an appearance there. The other secret rare, Invader of Darkness, has a really incredible artwork, but it's pretty garbage otherwise. In terms of super rares, there's not a lot going on for this set. Maybe like Orca Mega Fortress of Darkness, but Another cool artwork is maybe Dedication of Light and Darkness. I mean, they could have swapped any of these super rares for Chaos Sorcerer, and I don't think anybody would have complained. Shit, I mean, they could have even swiped the ultra rares. Now, one really cool ultra rare that in my opinion is very underrated is Strike Ninja. Strike Ninja is one of the first cards that I remember prominently from the show. I remember him using this monster against that dice guy. It's a really badass artwork as well. I think it's really underrated. But otherwise, okay, let me just take you through this set list. I mean, Dark Mirror Force, Manticore of Darkness, Black Tyranno, Insect Princess, Guardian Angel Joan. This set is like not packing at all in my opinion. But there are some decent cards like Dimension Fusion, which is really, really important. And in my opinion, it's an incredible artwork. Levia Dragon Daedalus. This card is really, really important for water decks. That's pretty much it. And then we get to the two big ultra rares, which is D-Mock and Blockluster Soldier, which are in my opinion some of the most OP, busted, completely broken cards to ever exist in Yu-Gi-Oh, especially Blockluster Soldier. I think that these two cards in my opinion are what do a lot of the lifting for this set. One thing that I really like though is that it's those set names that has an archetype inside, Invasion of Chaos. It has an incredible artwork on it. So because of this, I probably have to put it in the high A tier. I'll probably put it maybe above Pharaoh's Servant, maybe behind Pharaoh's Servant. It's definitely above Magic Ruler in my opinion. It's definitely an A tier set, like that's for sure. It's definitely not going to be below that just because of like the presentation of the set as well as those two big cards. I probably put it up there with Pharaoh's Servant. I think if BLS or D-Mock were secret rares, or if Chaos Sorcerer was an ultra rare, I would definitely put it above Pharaoh's Servant. But I think because of like how they nerfed like Chaos Sorcerer so hard, putting it as a common, like so disgusting, man. How could they do something like that? Yeah, I'll probably put it right behind Pharaoh's Servant. I'll put it high A tier. It's interchangeable depending on how I'm feeling that day. But yeah, that's pretty much Invasion of Chaos. Next, we have the last set in this list, and that is Ancient Sanctuary. This is arguably like the worst set ever made in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, I can't really think of a set that's worse than this. Let's just go through the comments real quick. There are some playable cards for sure. Obviously, there's one of my favorite cards, which is Night Assailant in here. It's like one of the best tech cards in all of GOAT format. I'm a big fan of that card. It's so busted in my opinion. In terms of other cards, I'm having a hard time finding anything that's like super insane. Even the rares, I mean, there's really not a lot here to brag home about. Not a lot there at all for sure. I mean, even the secret rares are garbage. End of Anubis, Misere, Deville. In my opinion, I don't even like them at all. Like, I don't even think the artwork is that great. Short prints, nothing. Oh man, this set reeks, man. This set sucks. There's so many short prints in here though. What the heck? In terms of like the super rares, Zaborg is a really nice card in my opinion. I think it's definitely important. Amplifier is a great artwork. Sanctuary in the Sky, that's a great artwork as well, even though it's garbage. Emissary of the Afterlife is a really nice looking artwork as well. I mean, ultra rares, there's like Blowback Dragon. Blowback Dragon's a really nice card. There's also Burst Stream of Destruction and Dark Magic Attack. I'm a big fan of those, especially Burst Stream of Destruction. I mean, that artwork is incredible. And then we have Enemy Controller in ultra rare, which is a really nice important card. This set is like really, really terrible. So like it's definitely not doing too hot, and in my opinion, I don't think it'll even age that well. There's really nothing to open in this set. Like, what are you gonna open for? Burst Stream of Destruction? That's pretty much it. I'm not a fan of this set at all in my opinion, and I'll probably put it at D tier. It's definitely the worst set in OG Duel Monsters, arguably one of the worst sets of all time, to be honest with you. Yeah, there's really not a lot going for this set. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the definitive official list of the original Duel Monsters era. If you enjoyed this long video, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know your tier list. Okay, I'm super interested to hear what you guys have to say. Players, collectors, both. Give me your thoughts. What would you rank these 11 sets at? And I'm going to be in the comments replying to you guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, otherwise, hit the like button, subscribe, and if you want to support me further, I have a Patreon where we have weekly market watches, but you can also support yourself by purchasing your TCG accessories at strictlysealedinc.com. That's it from me. If you guys want more of these set lists, let me know in the comments down below and I'll bring them to you. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.